right, and so there's a lot to dive into on this team. And Louis, I just want to get your perspective first, because there's been a lot of talk here about what's wrong with Dak. Does Dak not look healthy? What are you seeing as you watch Dak play these last 6 or 7 weeks, where it just has not been the same as he was earlier in the season?
Yeah, it doesn't seem as though the same level of confidence is being shown by Dak and this offense overall, as was shown in the first month of the season. And look, when we were down in Dallas and we were down in Frisco and we talked to them before their Monday night matchup against Philadelphia, they were riding high at that time, Greeny. They felt as though they had defenses right where they wanted them, regardless of what they were trying to take away, whether it was the run game or the pass game. They always felt as though they had the answers. And they played in that way. And Kellen Moore called the game in that way. And everyone seemed to be in sync and on the same page. And that they always had an answer. And right now, it seems like, in their mind, it's like, well, do we have an answer? Am I quite sure where I'm going with this football? Am I delivering the football with the same kind of confidence and accuracy as far as my decision-making is concerned? Meaning I'm putting it where I need to put it, and then I'm confident in putting it there. You saw the late game interception last week. Those are the kind of things that, against Washington, those are kind of things Dak wasn't doing early on in the season. And I know they've had some people in and out of the lineup, and I know health has been a part of the issue. And we don't know right now as far as Dak is concerned, just to what degree he is totally healthy. But I also am not someone who wants to overreact to this football team and to him in particular, because Dak Prescott, we all know, is wired the right way. He has the right mindset. He has the right approach. He has the right support system, both personally and professionally. And I'm confident that he will start humming along like he was in the first quarter of the season once again as we get later on into this season in the next couple of weeks as the games become more and more important.
Yeah, and that's really the big question here. And Kmart, I think people are wondering, is he really healthy? He's had so many different injuries over the course of the last, call it 14 months, and the latest being this calf.
That's my question, the calf. Because I hear Jerry, he said on the radio, Dak is good, but I don't know. And think back to training camp. Dak coming off that catastrophic ankle injury, he had the shoulder. Jerry was consulting the Texas Rangers about it. Yeah. Then we had the calf, and Dak is, even on Hard Knocks, was saying, I need to be out there, and it was training camp. There's so much pressure on him as an individual and this team as a collective that I don't know if he's healthy. And to me, the accuracy issue, since he suffered the calf injury, that's what worries me. But again, to Riddick's point about health and this team, think about it. Tyron Smith missed 3 games. Amari Cooper missed 2. Tony Pollard missed 1. Michael Gallup missed 7. Dale Collins missed 5. That's 18 total games between those 5 guys. So as much as we want to point the finger at Dak, keep in mind there's a bigger issue here with availability.
And CeeDee Lamb and Zeke hasn't been healthy, and Pollard hasn't been healthy. There's a million different reasons. But it begs this big question, I think, Bart, because we are seeing, and this is what I put in the tease today, we are seeing the Packers looking really good. We're seeing the Bucs look like they're rising. The Rams look like they're rising. Are the Cowboys on a level with those teams, the best in the NFC, what you're seeing right now?
They can. And listen, I think they are. And what happens is, what people have to realize, that the NFL season is a battle of attrition, right? You come out and you're world beaters. Then everybody adjusts to your adjustment. You have to readjust to their adjustment. Listen, I'm not about to sit up here and cry river, is Dak Prescott healthy? Because it really doesn't matter. Because guess what? Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy. Tom Brady isn't healthy. When you're a great player, you find out ways how to compensate, right? We all compensate with something. Nobody's healthy after the first 3 weeks of the season. Now, are you injured or are you hurt? Now, is he injured? I don't think so. Is he hurt? Of course, everybody's hurt. But they have to get back to running the football, set it and win in a certain way. But do I have confidence that they can figure it out? Yes.
Damian Woody, I'll ask you the same question. The Packers, the Bucs, the Rams, the Cardinals, are the Cowboys on a level? Are they as good as the best teams in the NFC? Because we were talking Super Bowl for this team at the end of October.
I would say right now, no. Do they have the collective talent? Absolutely. But right now, they're not playing up to that talent that they have on the roster. Here's my thing with the Cowboys. When they were on that 6-game winning streak, the one thing when you watch the tape about the Cowboys that jumped out, man, that physicality just jumped off the tape. They were straight tossing people out the club. Literally, they were mauling people everywhere. And when you have that type of physicality, it opens everything else up. Dak was eating. Like CD Lamb was eating. Everybody was eating. But what happened was, whether it's the injuries or just falling off, they're not capturing that line of scrimmage, playing that physicality like they were early on, and I think it's having a trickle-down effect with everybody else on the offense.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.